Today I'm going to talk about books again, but not just any book because this time they're horror books. I specifically choose these two books because they have similar themes and vibes to them, even though they're two completely different stories. Both have feeling of isolation and being cut off from the outside world, and it has an atmosphere of uncertainty where you feel like you can't trust anything to it. It also has this feeling of unease and fear, and when you're reading it you feel like you're being watched even though you are alone in your room kind of situations. So let's start with the first one. The first book is You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kalynn Bayron. The story follows a girl named Charity Curtis who lands her dream summer job at Camp Mirror Lake, and her job is to play the final girl. You know, the final girl, the last girl standing in horror movies. It's basically this horror themed attraction, almost like a haunted house I guess, where guests pay to get scared basically. The camp staff recreate scenes from a classic slasher film called Curse of Camp Mirror Lake. Their job is to deliver the most immersive and realistic experience possible, and the more terrified the participant feel, the better for the business. But then during the final weekend of the season, things become strange because some of the staff starts disappearing, and when one of them turns up dead, the whole game becomes terrifyingly real. Now Charity isn't just acting like a girl in a horror movie, she is in one. She and her friends have to survive the night that turns out to be far more horrifying than anything that gets signed up for. To make it out alive, they need to figure out who or what the killer is and what they actually want. Reading this book felt like watching Fear Street, especially Fear Street 1978 with its creepy summer camp vibes. The whole setting deep in the woods has that constant crawling sense of paranoia and dread, and the horror itself, it's very unpredictable. One moment you're thinking, oh maybe it's a monster like the Wendigo in Until Dawn kind of situation, and then you think maybe it's a werewolf or a psycho killer or aliens or ghosts. And once the story reveals the horror part, that is when the book really starts to get exciting. There's also this unsettling mystery that is tied into everything that is happening around the camp, that is not just some random strangeness, but there's something more sinister, something connected to the camp's dark past. It's really creepy, but like in the best way. What I also loved was how smart and real the characters felt. No one made the typical dumb horror movie decisions just for the plot convenience. Everyone had their own motives and personalities, which made you really actually care about them. And if you're into the final girl trope like me, think of Scream, Alien, Cabin in the Woods, Evil Dead, and Radio Not, you'll find this one really interesting because it takes the final girl trope and give a little twist to it in a way that I haven't really seen before. Sure, I think it could have pushed things a little bit further, gotten a little more unhinged or whatever, but the ending still stuck with me and left me feeling unsettling, which I think it's what the author was trying to do, and it really fits the whole vibe of the book as well. So if you're craving a book that feels like a summer camp horror movie filled with mystery and characters you want to root for, then this one is definitely worth the read. Our next book is Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. Ghost Station was published after the success of the other book called Dead Silence from the same author, which was basically like a haunted house story set in space. This time S.A. Barnes takes us into the psychological horror with the chilling and slow burn mystery on a far away abandoned planet. At the center of the story is Dr. Ophelia Bray, a psychologist who devoted her life to understanding and preventing a terrifying mental condition called ERS. It's a psychological breakdown that happens to some astronauts due to isolation in space for a long time. ERS is a very serious subject because there was an incident where a crew member went mad and killed 29 crew members. Now, Ophelia is assigned to join a small team of people to explore an abandoned planet because the team has lost one of their crew member in the previous mission. And because grief and sadness can trigger ERS, having a psychologist on the ship is mandatory in order to prevent this mental condition. And this said planet once had intelligent species living there, but they all went extinct for unknown reasons. These beings were advanced enough to travel in space just like human because the fossil of their bodies have been found on the planet nearby. When the team lands on the planet, things start to feel strange and creepy. The abandoned base where the previous team used to live in is full of things left behind, like family photos, wedding rings, and really important equipment. It seems like people ran away quickly, but what were they running from? On top of that, each team member seems to be hiding something. Even Ophelia, who is supposed to help with the team's mental health, finds it hard to get them to talk. This creates tension and distrustful atmosphere. Things get worse when the team's pilot is found dead in a horrible way. afraid. Ophelia starts to remember the ERS case from the past where many people were killed. She's wondering if the same thing is happening again or this time it's something worse. What are the crews hiding from Ophelia? What do they know? And what happened to the alien that made them go extinct? Is there something on this planet that no one knows about? And that's why the previous team left in such a hurry? If you want answers for all these questions, you have to go read the book yourself. This book have this psychological horror feelings, and it makes the reader question what's real and what's not. Unlike classic sci-fi horror like The Alien, this story focuses on the mystery and the discomfort and loneliness and strange horror in a deep space. However, the story moves in a very slow pace. This book is like 370 pages long, and it took 200 pages before the exciting part even began. Still, if you're looking for like a simple and easy to read sci-fi horror with a slow burn pace, this book is a good choice for the chill like reading experience.